An ancient planet, wearing a frozen veil, is trying to tell us something we forgot to ask. This is out of Prehisric Planet, Ice Age Season 3 official trailer. The screen comes alive with pale blue light, and a voiceover asks a question that feels almost ridiculous in a world of maps and models. What does an ice age want from us beyond a reminder to slow down? As the trailer opens, you feel the hush of frozen winds, a memory that isn't ours but belongs to the rock itself. The landscape is less a scene and more a question mark carved into glaciers. A reminder that time can be a sculptor as cold as the surface it reshapes. Context lands soft but heavy. We watch scientists trace the arithmetic of snow, animals migrating like living seasons, forests thinning to pins and needles of pine. But this trailer asks us to look not at the events, but at the structure of the event, the architecture of climate, the way a planet negotiates with its own atmosphere, and the way we might learn to listen. In a world saturated with headlines, Season 3 dares to treat ice as a language, not a weather report. The visuals don't just show, they imply a philosophy. What if the cold is a method of memory, preserving not just organisms but the stories we needed to hear to change? As the camera glides over a valley frozen in a single breath, the narration opens up a paradox. A climate that erases but also reveals. The ice acts as a loud whisper, layering time in clear sheets that let us read a history we weren't there for. The trailer doesn't preach doom. It invites a careful curiosity. If the ice holds lessons about scarcity, it also offers a radical truth about resilience. Survival isn't a sprint. It's a patient rereading of every horizon. When a glacier shifts, it doesn't erase the past, it edits it, polishing it into a more legible map for future. The exploration sequence feels like wandering through a library carved from frost. Each fossil, each group, is a sentence in a narrative written by wind and sun and the stubborn chemistry of water. The trailer presents this as a story about attention. Attention to tiny changes that compound into world-shaping differences. A single droplet, refrozen at a different angle, can tilt an ecosystem. A single snowfall can mute a creek till its voice becomes a memory. The voiceover suggests that our modern irony, speed, clutter, disposability belongs to a different time. The Ice Age isn't a period to endure. It's a lens to reframe how we act, what we value, and what we choose to preserve. Midway through, the tempo shifts. The Season 3 trailer introduces a twist that isn't a cliffhanger so much as a challenge. The climate isn't simply an external condition. It's a partner in dialogue. The ice asks us to listen to what remains, not just what vanishes. We see a herd moving through a wind-scoured plain. But the real movement is inside the viewer, the mind nudged toward humility. The visuals juxtapose the cold arithmetic of glacial advance with the warm arithmetic of human curiosity. It's a reminder that numbers alone can't tell the entire story. The texture of life, the fear, the wonder. The stubborn hope fills the gaps that data leaves blank. The narrative arc leans into a turning point that feels almost like a dare. If the first act offered ice as the second asks us to become apprentices of restraint, to act with the patience of a glacier rather than the impatience of a news feed. The trailer's deeper invitation is ethical as much as aesthetic. To respect time as a collaborator, not a tyrant. It positions the ice as a guardian of memory, preserving patterns that could guide contemporary decisions about water, shelter, and food security. The ice teaches that scarcity is not merely a fact to survive. It's a discipline to understand. A sequence toward the end broadens into a collective act. From silent tundra to a shared human moment, hands warming around a small fire. Eyes tracking distant auroras. The trailer makes climate a social project. The ice is not a backdrop. It's a mirror showing what we become under pressure. In this space, science and storytelling converge, and we listen not to the fear in experts' voices, but to the careful, steady cadence of insight that invites us to act with intention. The trailer's final cadence feels like a vow, to learn from the past without being consumed by it, to translate frost into foresight, and to treat the next season not as an enemy to conquer, but as a teacher to honor. And then, the turning point lands with a quiet shock. The Ice Age doesn't end because the thermometer rises. It ends when we grow, capable of hearing what the ice has safeguarded. The trailer doesn't promise a return to warmth as a simple trajectory. It presents warmth as earned through a recalibration of priorities, protecting cold corners of the biosphere, preserving genetic diversity as if it were a treasury, and recognizing that survival is a daily negotiation with time itself. The visuals lean into that paradox. Heat can threaten, but patience can heal. The screen fills with a soft glow that feels earned rather than granted. A reminder that knowledge without courage remains inert, and courage without knowledge risks harm. As the final frames arrive, the trailer crystallizes a message that lingers beyond the screen. The Ice Age is less a period and more a pedagogy. It teaches attention, humility, and collaborative problem-solving. It asks us to reframe what we consider progress, to measure progress not by speed, but by resonance, how deeply a decision reverberates into ecosystems, communities. The music swells with restrained hope, a reminder that the best stories about climate aren't about victory over nature, but partnership with it. If Season 3 is a trailer, it's a prologue to a broader conversation about time, memory, and responsibility. And if you listen closely, you'll hear a quiet invitation to see the planet not as a resource to be exploited, but as a patient tutor, and to see ourselves as students who can still choose wisely, even when the world is turning to ice. So when the trailer ends on that pale horizon, we're not left with fear or fantasy. We're left with an actionable sense that the Ice Age is an invitation to rethink how we live today, to step gently, to question boldly, to act collectively, and to let the planet's oldest classroom guide the way we build tomorrow. The official trailer for How to Prehisric Planet. Ice Age Season 3 doesn't merely preview a season of episodes. It offers a philosophy for the seasons ahead. And for those who listen, it becomes a map of choices, etched not in ice alone, but in intention, care, and the stubborn beauty of a world that speaks if we lean in long enough to hear. In the end, the ice remains both question and answer. It asks us to consider what we will preserve when the next cold breath arrives. And it answers with a simple guarantee: that awareness, shared courage, and patient science can turn fear into a future that feels earned, not just endured. The trailer closes with a silence that isn't emptiness, but anticipation, the sense that the next scene will depend on the one we decide to write now. And as the screen fades to white with a final shimmer of frost, you're left with two truths. And perspective is the only climate that never freezes. The ice keeps its own counsel, and in this continuation, the trailer quiets long enough for listening to become a form of weather. The narration carries a gentler cadence, as if the viewer is stepping onto a frozen stage where every footprint writes a line of verse about time. The Ice Age isn't merely a backdrop. It's a patient tutor, reminding us that patience is not passive, but preparatory. That calm is a resource as real as coal or copper when it comes to shaping futures. Context returns with a soft insistence. The modern world spins on devices, deadlines, and disposable moments. Yet the ice speaks in long, careful sentences. 2, 3. We realize the lesson isn't about conquering a cold world, but learning to live with a climate that tests our nerves and our ethics in equal measure. The trailer stitches a mosaic from thawing lakes, from caves that become libraries, from trees that tell stories in growth rings. It asks us to read not only with our eyes, but with our conscience, to decode the archive etched into every glacial striation. Narrative/exploration unfolds as if you're walking through a museum of time where each exhibit demands a choice. A herd threads a path through pale light. A child's breath fogs over a map of rivers. A settlement of stone and ice hints at strategies we might borrow for our own fragile communities. This is not nostalgia. It's a blueprint for resilience through restraint. The trailer hints at how systems water, energy, food survive when we align them with slower cycles rather than forcing rapid, reckless gains. The twist lands like frost on skin. The climate never signs off on a simple triumph of warmth. It reveals that warming can be a misdirection if we mistake speed for progress. The true victory is craftsmanship, designing cities that breathe with the planet, rehydrating landscapes that thirst for life, and restoring ecosystems that store memory in their very soil. The ice acts as a judge and a mentor, rewarding those who listen with safer futures and punishing those who ignore the quiet guidance of preserved time. Turning point arrives as a question carved in crystal. What if the lesson of ice is not scarcity, but stewardship? The trailer nudges us toward a future where the act of preparing becomes a daily practice, collecting rain, recharging aquifers, repairing wetlands, naming species that deserve protection not for their usefulness, but for their right to exist. The visuals fuse science and poetry, showing labs and windswept plains, graphs that glow like auroras, and communities that share warmth and water with a dignity born of mutual care. Resolution/message softens the edge of fear into intention. The Season 3 promise is not a guarantee of easier days, but a vow of wiser ones. We measure progress by how deeply we can align with the planet's time, by how gently we treat the ice that teaches us to temper impulse with foresight. The trailer closes in a circle of light where permafrost glitters, not as a tombstone for a world gone cold, but as a library where every page invites us to act with courage, to invest in learning, and to protect what cannot be replaced. A UTRO echoing through frost. This isn't merely about viewing a season. It's about changing the way we live with time itself. The Ice Age, as presented in this trailer, becomes a practical philosophy, a method to nurture humility, collaboration, and long-range thinking. The screen lingers on a horizon that defies easy endings, inviting you to carry the patience learned here into office, kitchen, town hall, and farm. If Season 3 challenges us to listen more than we shout, then the trailer has already achieved its most powerful act, turning fear into a disciplined hope that asks not just what we can endure, but what we can build together. As the final shimmer settles, you're left with a quiet invitation: read the ice and listen for the future's slow, steady heartbeat. The official trailer for How to Prehisric Planet. Ice Age Season 3 isn't merely a teaser. It's a blueprint for action, a map drawn in frost. A reminder that what we preserve today will decide whether tomorrow feels earned or borrowed. So lean in, let the cold teach you again, and allow time to become not a roadblock, but a compass. The next season waits, and the question isn't whether we can endure the cold,